Okay, welcome back for the fourth and final chapter of At Your Command by Neville Goddard. I'm just going to jump right in, okay? Let's go. Life does not care whether you call yourself rich or poor, strong or weak. It will eternally reward you with that which you claim as true of yourself. The measurements of right and wrong belong to man alone. To life there is nothing right or wrong. As Paul stated in his letters to the Romans, I know and am persuaded by the Lord Jesus that there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. Stop asking yourself whether you are worthy or unworthy to receive that which you desire. You, as man, did not create the desire. Your desires are ever fashioned within you because of what you now claim yourself to be. When a man is hungry without thinking, he automatically desires food. When in prison, he automatically desires freedom and so forth. Your desires contain within themselves the plan of self-expression. So leave all judgments out of the picture and rise in consciousness to the level of your desire and make yourself one with it by claiming to be it so now. By claiming it to be so now. For my grace is sufficient for thee, my strength is made perfect in weakness. Let me say something real quick. So I personally believe that our desires come from God. And even the word desire, if my memory serves me correctly, it comes from the Latin meaning of the Father, Deus Sire, I believe. Okay, so so he doesn't explicitly say it here, but he's saying that your desires come from within. And because we did not create ourselves, I believe they come directly from the creator, the architect of the universe, God the Father, call him what you will. But so continuing on, have faith in this unseen claim until the conviction is born within you that it is so. Your confidence in this claim will pay great rewards. Just a little while and just a little while and he, the thing desired, will come. But without faith, it is impossible to realize anything. Through faith, the worlds were framed because faith is the substance of the thing hoped for, the evidence of the thing not yet seen. Something I want to say about that as well is you've got to name it and claim it. Make your claim. State your claim, right? You hear that in a legal context, right? Well, where does that come from? I believe our laws, society's laws, man's laws, they stem from divine law and spiritual law and unwritten law. So I see a lot of correlation, a lot of because I have studied law, uh, man's law, society's law, and also spiritual law, and I see how they just intersect or intertwine with one another. And really, where governments, got their foundation from the Constitution, right, and the Book of Deuteronomy, and so on and so forth. So this is really powerful because if you want to understand, also how our government was established in the United States, there's definitely a spiritual, divine component to it, for sure. So don't be anxious or concerned as to results. They will follow just as surely as day follows night. Look upon your desires, all of them, as the spoken words of God, and every word or desire a promise. The reason most of us fail to realize our desires is because we are constantly conditioning them. Do not condition your desire. Just accept it as it comes to you. Give thanks for it to the point that you are grateful for having already received it. Then go about your way in peace. That's really powerful. So this was something that I really developed, really worked on, was just allowing myself to receive the desire as fact before I could see it materialize in my life, before I had the result. Excuse me. Just when I would download or have ideas in my meditation or visions, dreams, wishes, we could lump them all together. Those I would just just sort of just sort of pretend like, yes, it's already here. Imagine it's already here. It hasn't taken shape yet, hasn't taken form yet, but this I vividly remember just allowing myself to say, yes, thank you, I received that, whatever it was, the wish or desire I had. And just another mental exercise and spiritual exercise that really, really touched me, and why I loved this book so much. So such acceptance of your desire is like dropping seed, fertile seed, into prepared soil. For when you can drop the thing desired in consciousness, confident that it shall appear, you have done all that is expected to you. But to be worried or concerned about the how of your desire maturing is to hold these fertile seeds in a mental grasp, and therefore never to have dropped them in the soil of confidence. The reason men condition their desires is because they constantly judge after the appearance of being and see the things as real, forgetting that the only reality is the consciousness backing them. To see things as real is to deny that all things are possible to God. The man who is imprisoned and sees his four walls as real is automatically denying the urge or promise of God within him of freedom. A question often asked when this statement is made is, if one's desire is a gift of God, how can you say that if one desires to kill a man, that such a desire is good and therefore God sent? In answer to this, let me say that no man desires to kill another. What he does desire is to be freed from such a one, but because he does not believe that the desire to be free from such a one contains within itself the powers of freedom, he conditions that desire and sees the only way to express such freedom is to destroy the man, forgetting that the life wrapped within the desire has ways that he as man knows not of. Its ways are past finding out. Yes. Thus, man distorts the gifts of God through his lack of faith. Problems are the mountains spoken of that can be removed if one has but the faith of a grain of a mustard seed. Men approach their problem as did the old lady who on attending service heard the priest say, "If you had but the faith of a grain of a mustard seed, you would say unto yonder mountain, Be thou removed, and it shall be removed, and nothing is impossible to you." That night, as she said her prayers, she quoted this part of the scriptures and retired to bed in what she thought was faith. On arising in the morning, she rushed to the window and exclaimed, "I knew that old mountain would still be there." For this is how man approaches his problem. He knows that they are still going to confront him, and because life is no respecter of persons and destroys nothing, it continues to keep alive that which he is conscious of being. Things will disappear only as man changes in consciousness. And we could say also that in reverse, that things change as consciousness changes. Things will appear only as man changes in consciousness, just as they will also disappear. I don't know if you ever heard that quote from Wayne Dyer. He would say, he would ask his audience in his lectures, "Do you know what comes? What's inside of an orange when you squeeze? What comes out of an orange when you squeeze it?" And people would say, "Juice? I don't know." He'd say, "What's inside? What comes out is whatever's inside." Anyway, I just made me think of that quote. So deny it if you will, it still remains a fact that consciousness is the only reality, and things but mirror that which you are in consciousness. Sorry, let me read that again. Deny it if you will, it still remains a fact that consciousness is the only reality, and things but mirror that which you are in consciousness. So the heavenly state you are seeking will be found only in consciousness, for the kingdom of heaven is within you. As the will of heaven is ever done on earth, you are today living in the heaven that you have established within you. For here on this very earth, your heaven reveals itself. The kingdom of heaven really is at hand. Now is the accepted time. So create a new heaven, enter into a new state of consciousness, and a new earth will appear. The former things shall pass away, they shall not be remembered, not come into mind any more. For behold, I, your consciousness, come quickly, and my reward is with me. I am nameless, but will take upon myself every name, nature, that you call me. Remember, it is you, yourself, that I speak of as me. So every conception that you have of yourself, that is every deep conviction you have of yourself, is that which you shall appear as being, for I am not fooled. God is not mocked. I have to read that more than once. Now, let me instruct you in the art of fishing. It is recorded that the disciples fished all night and caught nothing. Then Jesus came upon the scene and told them to cast their nets in once more into the same waters that only a moment before were barren. And this time their nets were bursting with the catch. This story is taking place in the world today right within you, the reader. For you have within you all the elements necessary to go fishing. But until you find that Jesus Christ, your awareness, is Lord, you will fish as did these disciples in the night of human darkness. That is, you will fish for things, thinking things to be real, and will fish with the human bait, which is a struggle and an effort trying to make contact with this one and that one, trying to coerce this being or the other being, and all such effort will be in vain. But when you discover your awareness of being to be Christ Jesus, you will let him direct your fishing, and you will fish in consciousness for the things that you desire. For your desire will be the fish that you will catch. Because your consciousness is the only living reality, you will fish in the deep waters of consciousness. If you could catch that which is beyond your present capacity, you must launch out into deeper waters, for within your present consciousness such fish or desires cannot swim. To launch out into deeper waters, you leave behind you all that is now your present problem or limitation by taking your attention away from it. Turn your back completely upon every problem and limitation that you now possess. Dwell upon just being by saying, I am, I am, I am, to yourself. Continue to declare to yourself that you just are, Do not condition this declaration. Just continue to feel yourself to be, and without warning, you will find yourself slipping the anchor that tied you to the shallow of your problems and moving out into the deep. This is usually accompanied with the feeling of expansion. You will feel yourself expand as though you were actually growing. Don't be afraid, for courage is necessary. You are not going to die to anything by your former limitations, but they are going to die as you move away from them, for they live only in your consciousness. In this deeper expanded consciousness, you will find yourself to be a power that you had never dreamt of before. The things desired before you shoved off from the shores of limitation are the fish you are going to catch in this deep. Because you have lost all consciousness of your problems and barriers. It is now the easiest thing in the world to feel yourself to be one with the things desired. Because I am, your consciousness, is the resurrection and the life, you must attach this resurrecting power that you are to the thing desired, if you would make it appear and live in your world. Now you begin to assume the nature of the thing desired by feeling. I am wealthy. I am free. I am strong. When these feels are fixed within yourself, your formless being will take upon itself the forms of the things felt. Okay, well, I want to say something about this because it's so simple. It's so simple. And if you're like me and you've been conditioned by schooling, by family, by society, well, there's doubt there, right? There's the belief, there's that expression, seeing is believing. There's so much resignation and cynicism, and we live in a world where results happen exclusively by performance. Results come about exclusively by doing, right? Everything is about doing, right? Work and work hard. And I don't negate any of that. But I struggled myself personally a lot with accepting that I could attract and I could command and even summon, I guess is a word I could use to bring about the things I wished for, because it wasn't only Neville, but there were so many other teachers that were saying the same thing that I really had to because my mind was so fixed on, okay, no, I want to make X amount of dollars this year. I want to make so much money. I want to buy this car and this house and yacht, blah, blah, blah. And the only way to get those things are in the traditional sense, right? Like everybody else around us, gets things. So, but I knew in my heart that, Neville was telling the truth, and that also other teachers were saying very similar things. So it really took discipline and practice of just accepting my wish, my desire, my dream could be effortless. That creation is finished. You hear Neville say that creation is finished, right? That I have, I didn't have to struggle. Not everything required struggle and strife. So if you're going through that process, I just want you to know, it's not only you, but there is faith. Developing faith is a practice, and it's a lifelong practice. I think it's going to be a lifelong discipline and practice. Uh, it's a form of worship, and so we press on, and we don't let the circumstances and the environment tell us what is possible. Okay, we notice it. We don't ignore the conditions and our circumstances, but let them reflect something back to us without the judgment, right? Without the judgment and attachment. Because the other part of conditioning is, in the 21st century, we want everything now, instantly, right? And again, going back to the law of gestation, which I covered in another video, we don't know how long our dream takes to materialize. We know that a tomato takes, 8 weeks to grow. We know a baby takes 9 months, so on and so forth, right? But when it comes to your dream, your wish or desire, we don't know. Okay? You become crucified upon the feelings of wealth, freedom, and strength. Remain buried in the stillness of these convictions. Then, as a thief in the night, and when you least expect it, these qualities will be resurrected in your world as living realities. The world shall touch you and see that you are flesh and blood, for you shall begin to bear fruit of the nature of these qualities newly appropriated. This is the art of successful fishing for the manifestations of life. Successful realization of the thing desired is also told us in the story of Daniel in the lion's den. Here it is recorded that Daniel, while in the lion's den, turned his back upon the lions and looked towards the light coming from above. That the lions remained powerless, and Daniel's faith in his God saved him. This is also your story, and you too must do as Daniel did. If you found yourself in a lion's den, you would have no other concern but lions. You would not be thinking of one thing in the world but your problem, which problem would be lions. Yet, you are told that Daniel turned his back upon them and looked towards the light that was his God. If we would follow the example of Daniel, we would, while imprisoned within the den of poverty, of sickness, take our attention away from our problems of debts or sickness and dwell upon the thing we seek. If we do not look back in consciousness to our problems, but continue in faith, believing ourselves to be that which we seek, we too will find our prison walls open and the thing sought, yes, whatsoever things, realized. Another story is told us of the widow and the 3 drops of oil. The prophet asked the widow, "What have ye in your house?" And she replied, 3 drops of oil. He then said to her, "Go borrow vessels. Close the door after ye have returned into your house and begin to pour." And she poured from 3 drops of oil into all the borrowed vessels, filling them to capacity with oil remaining. You, the reader, are this widow. You have not a husband to impregnate you or make you fruitful, for a widow is a barren state. Your awareness is now the Lord, or the prophet that has become your husband. Follow the example of the widow, who instead of recognizing an emptiness or nothingness, recognized the something, 3 drops of oil. Then the command to her, "Go within and close the door." That is, shut the door of the senses that tell you of the empty measures, the debts, the problems. When you have taken your attention away completely by shutting out the evidence of the senses, begin to feel the joy symbolized by oil of having received the things desired. When the agreement is established within you so that all doubts and fears have passed away, then you too will fill all the empty measures of your life and have an abundance running over. Recognition is the power that conjures in the world. Every state that you have ever recognized, you have embodied. That which you are recognizing as true of yourself today is that which you are experiencing. So be as the widow and recognize joy, no matter how little the beginnings of recognition, and you will be generously rewarded. For the world is a magnified mirror, magnifying everything that you are conscious of being. I am the Lord, the God, which has brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. What a glorious revelation, your awareness now revealed as the Lord thy God. Come awake from your dream of being imprisoned. Realize that the earth is yours, and the fullness thereof the world, and all that dwells therein. Okay, that's the book of Exodus, just FYI. Very powerful stories in there. So you have become so enmeshed in the belief that you are man that you have forgotten the glorious being that you are. Now, with your memory restored, decree the thing unseen to appear, and it shall appear. For all things are compelled to respond to the voice of God, your awareness of being. The world is at your command. That's great. So great. Well, thank you for completing this read-through and reaction with me of At Your Command by Neville Goddard. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. And continue to develop that muscle and keep applying the principles and discover that it does work by law. Thoughts become things. Name it and claim it. Okay? It works if you work it. I'm James, and thank you very much.